My name is Makaela Reinke. I am a senior in the School of Hospitality Administration, and my Keystone project is on corporate social responsibility, a model for hotel and nonprofit partnership within local communities. My advisor is Christopher Muller, sitting in the back there. Thank you so much for all of the influence you've had on this project. So my Keystone project evolved from my process of trying to figure out how to bring two of the most important parts of my time at BU together. The first of which is my major, hospitality. I am truly passionate about the industry I'm going to join post-graduation. I think you'll find that hospitality is a gift. It's a talent that people have in the ability to welcome the stranger and to have positive impact on their communities. And in the School of Hospitality, we call hospitality a lifestyle, not just a business. And I plan to practice that for the rest of my career. But what I also had the privilege of learning during my time here at BU was my work with a nonprofit in Croatia. And in here, in Croatia, in Zagreb, which is the upper left-hand corner of the country, we worked with the Roma people, commonly known as gypsies, who are a marginalized society, and they suffer from segregation and poverty. And our work there was just trying to empower the next generation and facilitate reconciliation efforts between the Croatian and Roma people. And the nonprofit leaders I found there were also equally hospitable and passionate about what they wanted to accomplish, but lacked resources. And so I was thinking, how can I bring these two parts together, these two industries that would actually work really well together and could accomplish something great? And in the hospitality industry, we do have a business practice called corporate social responsibility, which is the investment by a hotel or a restaurant for long-term community development. Because hotels are in this unique position where they are planted all over the world in local communities. And it's been proven that your efforts with a local community can result in better business for that hotel as well. So there is a business incentive, but there's also that community development and the social benefit. So using my experience, my relational capital in Croatia, I was able to go over twice for my project, although I have been 5 times through my BU years. And I interviewed hospitality professionals from the DoubleTree, Hilton, Sheraton, and then I also learned and worked with the nonprofit leaders. And what I found, although my original purpose for the project was to develop this awesome action plan or a handbook for corporate social responsibility, was it's not about what the model was going to look like, because I could build the best model possible. But if there was no one there to utilize it, it wouldn't even be worth going through. So it's not about the what, it's about the who. And that's what I would like to share with you today. Because through the iteration of my project, I found that it is absolutely necessary for 5 key people to be involved in this partnership in order to have successful, long-term, sustainable community development. And so the first type of person you need are those who influence. This is Mr. Harris Rosen, a self-made multimillionaire in Orlando, Florida, who I had the privilege of interviewing with. And his resorts are widely recognized as some of the greatest in the city. And he used the success of his hospitality, because he is truly a hospitable professional. He used his success to have positive influence on the community. And he developed daycare programs for his workers, after-school tutoring, and even led up to full-ride college scholarships for individuals. And so what you see with his community, his hotels are privately owned. But through his influence and his connections, he was able to get the ball rolling on these efforts. And so you need someone like him within a community to say, hey, we're going to do this. And I have the resources, the influence, the network to start this. But what he needs are those who understand. And this is Tomislav on the left and Svanko on the right. And they are the nonprofit leaders who have worked with the Roma people for over 20 years. And so they have this incredible amount of cultural and societal knowledge of the intricacies of these two communities. Tomislav and Svanko are both Croatian, but they work with the Roma. And so they understand the underlying tensions or celebrations or traditions of the people that someone like me, an outsider, would not be able to grasp immediately. And so Tomislav and Svanko see the injustice and this loss of value and this equilibrium that's still not quite there, and they want to see change. But because their work is on the ground, their priority is the people, they don't have the resources or even the time to say, we know where we want to go and that's how we're going to get there. They don't have that. And so who they need are those who envision. And this is Sada. And Sada has a degree in pedagogy. She's a young professional. She's Croatian. She's worked with the Croatian government and the Croatian school systems. And she has met with Tomislav and Svanko, and she shares this desire because she sees also that there can have positive benefits from reconciling the Roma and the Croatian peoples. But Sara's skill set enables her to utilize incentives and find common interests among stakeholders and make this plan because she sees where Tomislav and Svanko want to go, and she knows how to get there. And so her clear and defined idea of what system changes are needed will be guided by the wisdom of the understanders to create this process of change that could happen with smaller projects 1 year at a time or larger visions for 5, 10 years down the road. But Sara, she's great with all the details and she knows where she needs to go. But who does she really need? She needs those who build. And this is Josh. And Josh was a BU student. We volunteered for 3 years together in Zagreb until he made the decision to enroll full-time at a pre-med program, the University of Zagreb. And so he is now immersing himself into the community there. And on his free days, he goes into the Roma village and continues to learn from the Roma people. And this is absolutely key and truly inspiring because he is embraced by the Roma people, an outsider coming in. And Josh is characterized by a strong self-motivation, he has a perseverance, he has this energy that's contagious, and it can bring the two peoples together, the young Croatians he meets in med school, along with the next generation of Roma kids that he mentors, and he connects them, and he just facilitates this positive change. Now, I'm always impressed when Josh has enough time to sit down and write his own name, and so he himself is not able to make this long-term vision. But when Sara gives him her blueprints, so to speak, Josh can take it and he can build this vision into a reality. And he will be undeterred by these short-term setbacks in order to have a long-term vision accomplished. But this is just one village, right? Just one tiny little ghetto on the outside of Zagreb in the course of a world. So how do we take this partnership and replicate it across the nations? And where does the hotel come in? That's with those who scale. And that's myself at the bottom right-hand corner. And I am here with my peers at a Marriott Leadership Conference. And we are the next generation of hospitality professionals whose priority is corporate social responsibility. Millennials and the next generation, we see this social responsibility to be important in any company that we work for. And so I'm already involved in this network, and I'm a scaler, and I see the success that happens at the Marriott where I'm working in Zagreb, and I can call John, who works in South Carolina, or Cassandra, who works in California, or Marie, who works in France. And I can say, hey, look at this, look at what we were able to do. And my hotel was part of this because we provided resources or space or time. And I know that Marriott wants to imitate this success. Who do you know? What can you do so that we can scale this success internationally? And so because they are also scalers, they can find their own networks and get the ball rolling with their own influencers as well. And these networks create a virtuous cycle. This is not a model that I personally came up with, but it is one that I think works rather effectively in what I'm demonstrating today. So I'm not going to take full credit for it, but I definitely have played and made it my own here. And as you can see, that it doesn't begin or end with any one particular person here, but rather it rotates and energy is passed from one person to the next as each is empowered to work within their own skill set. And as you can see, because you don't have to begin or end anywhere, you can also be multiple roles at once. Because I am a scaler in this Croatian case study that I'm sharing with you today, but perhaps right now I'm an influencer because I'm sharing this with you, my KHC community. And so the cycle here is all about the energy. And the energy is self-sustainable through reinforced feedback because it rotates around one common goal. And that's the core energy in the center. But I would like to think about this cycle to instead be like a cyclone, growing larger and larger and larger across more and more communities, all coming from this one small one small original energy. This is Camp Medve, Grad, the camp that we put together in Zagreb, Croatia. And you can see Craig is on the far right-hand side, and he's the influencer. He had the pull to bring us all to Croatia to learn from there. And then you have Tomislav in the back with the understanding and be able to facilitate the interactions with the community. Sara at the bottom right-hand corner, who envisioned what camp could be. And Josh, who was able to build the camp by literally bringing the kids to the facility. And then you have me, a scaler, right in the middle, though I didn't know it yet. And we created something big, something beautiful, something inspiring enough that I am here to share it with you today. And I believe that this can happen again in many communities when you bring all of these people into this picture together. Thank you. I think I have a couple brief minutes. Yes, Ben.
How would you propose someone seeing this plan, this presentation, adapting it to their own needs? Like what skill sets do you think someone would want to look for to fulfill each role in the cycle, or kind of a jumpstart the cycle? How would you going about that?
So I do think that a lot of it is about self-awareness, and so looking at this cycle and saying, okay, like what role do I feel comfortable in? Where do I think I can be? And then I think that this cycle is actually most powerful when it works within your own network. So who can you connect with? And I think it does work better too when you have an idea, or when you find that envisioner who can say, this is what we're working towards, and these are the people we need. So I think we're in a unique position where we're joining new networks post-graduation, and I think that anything can happen after that. Yes?
So you presented the kind of description of what the hotel would be doing, but it's describing it like that it was mostly involved in creating a camp for the children. Is the hotel involved in providing employment for local people, for the Roma people, or for involving them in some way in economic activity?
So again, it is specific to each community. Mr. Rosen found that his turnover was really high because the moms couldn't afford to go to work and take care of their children. And so he provided this daycare free of cost so that the mothers could keep full-time jobs, essentially. And so that's what he started in his community. In Croatia, you'll find that the Hilton, for example, will donate conference space, or they'll do like food or clothing drives, or they'll also have the children come in for like a career day and see what the possibilities are there. The Sheraton or smaller independent hotels that I interviewed also will do different employment-based programs. Because of tax laws too in Croatia, it's harder to give monetary donations, so they look for more creative ways, which is how they ended up just supporting us through supplies, or renting the buses for us for the camp was the best way for them to be interacting with us, partnering with us that way. Yes?
We have the cycle, we have the people. To what extent is it important for all of those 5 entities to be in the same room together? Of course we're global, connected through the internet, but there's energy factor and
So I do think it works better when there's more communication and mutual understanding when people are together in one room, so to speak, and can clearly define that common goal. But with a hotel interaction or participation, that might not always happen. I was the one who communicated and sat down with the hotel that worked with us on the camp, but she was not in relationship with Tomislav, for example. And so I think it can work either way, but you'll find it'll be more sustainable and self-reinforcing if they do have more interaction together. Yes.
Being from Orlando, everyone really does like Mr. Rosen. He took the poorest neighborhood in Orlando and made the graduation rate 100%. But aside from that, you said there's business incentives. What type of business incentives are there?
So you'll find that there is an increased bottom line, because when you do have a better partnership with the community, you have better employment rates, your reputation will grow up, but also if you look long term, you'll have greater community development. And so then your community or your town or your city becomes safer for people to come through. You have better relations with the local people. And this is where Croatia, again, was a really good case study because they're rising in international tourism as a vacation destination, particularly for Europe, but they're just growing on that international scale. And so a lot of what they're doing now is how to make it safer to be in Croatia and to have that like long-term sustainable environment, which hotels can definitely benefit from, for sure. Thank you.